go and read it. Fantastic if you're in PR or if you're not in PR. But what I really like about what he has to say is that he's looked back through the years and said that PR, whatever that is, has been around forever. You know, right back to Barnum, who was the most fantastic PR person ever, you know, showcasing his circus around America and the world. So it's things like that that really get me going, rather than some stunt that's just appeared in the Daily Star, which I like them too.
And what sort of elements do you like seeing turning up in PR uses? You know, there's a lot more that, you know, people can use for PR. There's online, there's digital, there's video, there's, you know, experiential. You know, what makes for a good mix of PR, do you think?
There is in the industry that we work in, there is a obsession with column inches, newspapers, being on the front page of the Sun. Okay, and that's it. That is it. I would strongly recommend clients to not start with the idea of what newspaper they want to be in, right, or what publication they want to be in. I think they need to start with who is it that we want to talk to, what is it we want to say to them, and then ask a PR person, how do we best do that? And in order to do that, it's quite often not being in the newspaper or being in a magazine that matters. It's being on the right blogs, it's being involved in the right forums, it might be holding an event. It certainly isn't necessarily a press release and then a piece of press coverage, which is where I was brought up, you know, throughout a lot of the times that I've worked for agencies. That's what we did. Even now, that's what we do in a lot of instances, but we're trying to persuade the clients that there's, you know, more than one way to skin a cat, I think.
Okay. And how do you think digital's impacted on PR, both for the client and for the PR provider?
The agencies have got more obsessed with it than the clients have. From a client point of view, I think there is a degree of, like when the internet came along, I need a website. Why? I don't know, but everyone else has got one. And there is a degree of that going on.
So do you think there's a sort of a bubble growing at the moment that is based around digital interaction?
There's a bubble growing. I don't know that it's necessarily going to pop. For sure, this is a rapid growth of a different product for the PR industry, that the PR industry hasn't seen growth of a product like this for a long time. Okay, there's something new that they have to offer, and they're fighting with search agencies, they're fighting with digital specialists, they're fighting with advertising agencies to try and own that area. I think PR people are best placed to do so, because a lot of it is to do with diplomacy, and we might think that PR people aren't very diplomatic, but their art is supposed to be in conversation. So if it is forums and if it is blogs, etc., they're surely in the best place to do so. I think there's been a skills drag while the agencies get up to speed.
Oh, right, yeah.
Okay, with what needs to be done, but clearly they have the best natural skill sets to take advantage of that.
Okay. Now, there was at the beginning of the year this sort of debate between, is PR damaging journalism? Do you have any views on that?
Is it damaging journalism?
Is PR controlling journalism?
I don't think it's doing either of those things. I think if you ask Wayne Rooney this morning whether PR is controlling journalism, clearly it's not. Okay. There is an influence of PR, but not in the way that some people seem to think, whether they're thinking it's like, I don't know, Charlie Whelan or Alistair Campbell, some Machiavellian hand behind them. That's not what happens in real life. And in actual fact, if there is anybody, any PR person in Manchester who thinks that they control part of the news agenda, then they are sadly deluding themselves, for sure. Maybe people like Max Clifford can keep things out of a newspaper, can get things into a newspaper, maybe. Okay, I don't think that happens from Manchester. But for resource reasons, journalists are pursuing less stories. Okay, so there may well be 6, 7, 8, I don't know how many stories that are being pursued by journalists with, and I'm thinking here, you know, regionally really, with no influence from PR. They're pursuing it for the common good, you know, and for the for the truth and all of those reasons, all those good reasons. There is also room within 80-odd, 100-odd pages of a newspaper for PR people to have provided good news about a business or a person or a community group that is interesting. If a journalist thinks that interesting, or the editor does ultimately, they'll publish it. And I think there's probably room for both, and that's probably what's happening at the moment.
Okay, cool. We have our first question in from Chris K. Thank you very much. Now, if you want to get involved, obviously you can use the Twitter, you can use the live forum on the Ustream site. Please ask a question. Nigel's here to answer your questions. The question from Chris is, my business has operated for 5 years in the luxury goods sector. So far, only has trade clients. We're looking to increase the business by trading to the public. They have no marketing strategy established. Is PR consultancy advisable at this early stage?
Yes, it is. For two reasons. Number one is, if you're trying to get to customers, and if you're going to do it through paid for space, that's expensive.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah? Okay, so PR gives you an opportunity there to do it more cost effectively, to talk to customers. I would also say that if you're thinking digitally, generally speaking, if you want to get to lots of people, Facebook is the only game in town. And
Facebook is such a great application for finding a very targeted audience with a certain background and able to advertise just to those people to engage with their conversation. I think I was at a Facebook expo early in the year, and they were going through some of the applications you can use for, and I was going, oh wow, okay, I feel a little bit behind the times.
Well, it's wonderful because marketers throughout all of the years have been trying to group people together, and they've been trying to group them together into, they are a socio-demographic of ABC1, mostly female, aged 16 to 45, and obscene big generalisations like that. And now potential customers have grouped themselves together voluntarily and says, we like this. Okay, well, we offer that, and we'll talk to you. And listen, this is what the new opportunities are in that world, I think. So, to answer the question to Chris, I think it was.
Yep.
Firstly, there's value in PR over paid for space. Secondly, if you're thinking about digital, okay, then PR offers the skills and the opportunity to work with things like Facebook. And thirdly, PR isn't just, I don't believe anyway, it's just a commodity that is a press release. A PR strategy is something that actually, it goes through every single strand of your marketing. If you ask me, PR people are asked in very late in the day, often, okay?
Normally when something's gone wrong.
Normally when things have gone wrong. If a PR person was involved, and I'm sorry if they were, if a PR person was involved in the Barclays ad campaign where they had Anthony Hopkins talking about we are big, we are the best, we are all of those things, right, then a PR person might have said, that's not really the reputation that we want right now, seeing as how we are closing high street branches, seeing as how we're seeing banks as the baddies, seeing as how we want to see a more personal service rather than some big Goliath that's going to take us over. And that's why I believe that PR people, and it's PR and marketing together, they have a broader interest than just the individual tools, which advertising sometimes is.
And one of the things that I say to a lot of people is, advertising is about selling stuff now at any price. PR is selling your stuff at the price you want to sell it at, sometime in the near future.
There's always this thing, and this might be a thing for Chris to think about as well. There are certain things, if you go on YouTube and you look for the Old Spice adverts at the moment, okay, at the moment that's got a direct effect, and Old Spice has seen its sales rocket. How long that's going to last, we don't know. So there's certain things that you can do that says, yes, that's brilliant, we've got a spike, fantastic. But PR has always really been about reinforcement of brand and messages and things rather than buy now. But advertising could do the same. Do you know, advertising could do the same. I think most TV car ads aren't designed to make you run down to the showroom tonight. You know, it's reinforcement.
Otherwise we'd have 1,000 cars in our drives.
Quite.
Yes. Thank you very much for that, Chris. Can Can you talk us through a campaign that you've worked on that you think was one of your highlights for your career so far?
I have things that are most recent in my memory sometimes. One that I really like is one that was done from Manchester for a brand called Simply Yours, which is a fashion brand that's out of the N Brown group, obviously based over in the Northern Quarter. And why I really like it is that the job that was done, the agency I was running at the time was called Rattle PR, and the job that was done with the team there and with the team at Simply Yours didn't include any magazines, didn't include any newspapers, didn't include any radio, didn't include any television at all. It simply included all of the new online opportunities that we've got. And what we'd had to do was find that there were influential bloggers, commentators, people participating in forums who could be ambassadors for our brand, if you like, and say good things about our product if they were persuaded that there were good things to say about our product. Because the basis is, we're not making it up, it's good, it's it's worth having. And we did that, and the campaign ran entirely through blogs. It was on Facebook, using YouTube, and latterly, because it started before it really took off, using Twitter. And I stick with this campaign a lot because when it first started, say 2 years ago, a lot of PR agencies were making a lot of noise about the opportunities social media and online PR was bringing. If you asked to see a case study, then a lot of them ran for the hills. And we had one, fantastic.
Super.
And we said, hey look, this is what happened. And Woolly PR, you can measure how many hits have gone to the website. You can measure how people are behaving, how people are interacting with the brand, rather than wondering if they read this piece in the Daily Mail. We held a seminar for it, and we got 40 odd people into a room just because there was so much curiosity to see, oh, go on, show me a real example now. And I think even now, publicly, when the PR awards come around this year, I might see lots more, but even now, publicly, there's only half a dozen or a dozen that most of the PR community has heard of or know about. So I like that one.
Okay, cool. Now, you're based up in Manchester. We've asked pretty much everyone this question. Why do you choose the Northwest, then that funny southwesty area, London or something?
Because I live here. That's it.
As simple as that. Yeah, it's good enough reason.
There's no reason to go anywhere else. If I was in the outer reaches of Peterborough, and I only say that because Tranmere Rovers beat Peterborough on Saturday, then maybe I'd think about moving. But
well, I've lived in Peterborough. It's very, very flat. One of the other things that could we have people who are freelancers and looking to get into the industry, what would your tips be for someone who's looking to start out in PR, in marketing? What sort of things would you recommend them to do? Okay. Use your networks, to be sure. I was talking to somebody else from our industry the other day, and I've talked to so many people since I got started. I'm grateful to them all for advice from everything from give us a job to do you know a good accountant? Any of those things. Take advantage of your networks. And do you know what? If you're not ready to go on your own or freelance or whatever, build your networks now. Yeah. Right, do that now. Because this guy I was talking to, I'd said to him, things are going reasonably well at the moment, and I don't have that much time to do new business activity for myself. And he said, and it was a fair point, he said, yeah, but you've been doing your new business activity for 15, 16 years, however long it is you've been doing your job and building up your network, because your network is the most important thing. Okay. And I think networks are a really important thing. I think, when I first launched, Little Orchard, I went to B4B, 4N, just getting used to being in front of people, talking about the business, what you're doing. That helps build your own confidence. You get also a really good flow of ideas coming back the other way. And I think, we can get very trenched in our own little networks, well, for PR networks or marketing networks or, in my case, video Wally networks. but I think it's really interesting to get outside of those and explore different areas of business networks.
I think that's true. And even amongst people within your own industry who you think are competitors, you know, there are things that you can share. I've been slightly concerned to see that that isn't the case as much as it was, say, a year ago online. I think when the early adopters of Twitter were there was a real propensity to share information and tips, and people who you'd see as your rivals or your peers were saying, have a look at this, here's a way you can measure X, or and lots of stuff was shared and passed around. And some PR agencies were quite slow off the mark in embracing this stuff. Some big ones too. Mm-hmm. And as they came in, I'm disappointed that some of them have kept their old rules of how to act as a PR agency and thrown it into this new world, because all of a sudden it's, I have a piece of information, keep it to yourself, mm-hmm. where previously, only a year ago, it was being shared much more. So, and I learnt a lot during that time. I hope it comes back as well. Yeah,
I think it comes down to personalities. Again, it comes down to also the way that people perceive things. There's been a recent spate, I think, of gaffes using Twitter and social media networks, and people are going, oh, hang on, what are we allowed to say? And I think, but you still give these people a phone? Isn't that a social media network as well?
Well, one of the biggest obstacles to persuading clients to get involved in this world is they say, once we open the door and we allow people to have conversations about us, they might say nasty things. Guess what? They already are.
It's true, they are. You know, if you're not in that conversation, you don't know, and you can just go through anything. Got another couple of questions come in. Thank you very much for sending these in. This is in from Jennifer. We're looking to develop an area of land, but meeting opposition from local residents who are continually vetoing plans. Can you advise?
Yes, if you get in touch with me separately.
Okay, I think that's a fair thing. I think that needs a bit of more understanding. I think there needs to be a certain amount of charm offensive, but I think, you know, have a chat.
I don't know, have you met these people? What do we know about them? It would be hard to say that, but happy to talk about it.
Okay, and how do people get in contact with you, Nigel?
Contact me at nigel@nigelhughespr.co.uk.
Nice and simple. I like that. Okay. Another question in. This is from Steve in Hastings. Thank you very much. Hello, Steve. I own and operate an adventurous training company. We're trying to win a lucrative public sector contract for the last 3 or so years with little success. Can a PR firm help with B2B presentation?
They can certainly help with B2B presentation. I mean, I've heard this before, that there's no such thing as boring products, there's only boring PR campaigns, you know, behind them.
Yeah.
You know, some of the most interesting things have been done, you know, are being done for a B2B audience, or with what seems to be a, you know, pretty average product. I was at an agency called Freshfield in Preston yesterday, mm-hmm. who I'm doing some work with, and one of their guys there was showing me this fantastic thing that you can find on YouTube, which is the blending.
Oh, you blend
machine.
it?
Oh,
yes.
Just brilliant, fantastic. And that was, if you haven't seen it, go and have a look on YouTube and you'll find it. You blend it, you know.
They blend an iPad, phones, they use Zuzu things.
What a great laugh.
Yeah.
What a great laugh, fantastic. So you can apply PR principles and creativity to absolutely anything. The caveat that I would use with it is that if he's going for public sector, mm-hmm. which I think he was, there's likely to be tender things going on there, which, listen, you can present your case as much as you like, and maybe you do need help in presenting it, but ultimately you've still got to tick all the boxes that those chaps want before they'll agree.
And I think if you can come across as a known entity as well before they pick up the document, that helps. If you can make, you know, your case stand out in a better way. Sometimes having someone else's outlook on things and saying, well, you know, that point of view could be amended with that. I know that when we've gone through tender stuff, we've had someone else look at it at a tender from outside us and go, but you're doing this sort of stuff, I don't understand. Or, you know, and sometimes that helps.
You know, whether it's a PR person or it's a management consultant or it is your mate, you know, another pair of eyes never does any harm, does it?
Yeah, exactly. We also have, now this is one of the bizarre names, FTP, 9821163. There you go. That's the name you put in. Thank you very much. In your considered opinion, Nigel, what are the top 7 SNS that are important to a typical industrial products company? And I don't even know what SNS is. I'm sorry. We assume we mean social network sites.
Could be. You could be bowling me a right googly there, make an idiot of me. I don't know. Do you know? First of all, I don't know what a typical industrial product is. Because it could be, I don't know, a brand of oil, and it could be a conveyor belt. I have absolutely no idea. What's for sure is, if it is social network sites, you mean, I'll be amazed if there are 7 that serve a really niche market like that. I'm not quite sure.
Okay. And again, if you want some more information, you can contact Nigel. We're just running out of time. I know we've got 3:30 knockoff. What are your 3 tips for businesses looking to take PR advice?
Okay. Right. Well, what I would say is, don't get hung up on a particular magazine or newspaper that you want to be in. That would be what I would say. I'd say, firstly, decide who the audience is that you're trying to talk to. Okay. Secondly, decide what is it that you're trying to persuade them of or tell them. Thirdly, ask somebody in PR, how is it best to get to them?
Okay. Yeah. Super. Well, thank you, Nigel.
Okay.
It's been lovely having you in.
Good.
We've run out of time. Thank you very much for all the questions sent in. We're sorry that Dave Raywood for the MEN couldn't make it to be with us on In Conversation With. Just to remind you who's coming up in the next few sessions, we have Cuckoo Design on the 21st of September. We have Return on Digital on the 5th of October. We have Les Selby of Wired City on the 19th of October. We have another special one we're hoping to announce soon, but we can't tell you about just yet. Then we have Savvy Partnership on the 30th of November, and then we have Steny Forth wrapping it up in December on the 14th, and that will be the end of the run for In Conversation With this year. I'll have some Christmas dinner. Hurrah! Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you again. Take care.